Welcome everybody to get to know the 2025 card. My name is Debbie Barnett. I know many of you already know me. If you got my email, I'm sure that you were connected in some way or another. And I do this every year along with many other live stream events during the year and in-person events. I'm pretty much all about Mahjong. Yes, I am a little bit of a Mahjong nut, but how can you not be? This is such an amazing, fantastic, great game, and it is so addicting. So you guys know, where I'm at for that, right? Okay, here we are. Let's get to know the 2025 card. Again, welcome everybody who is just joining on YouTube and everybody watching from Zoom. All right, so tonight's agenda is going to be all about the 2025 National Mahjong League. Now, I do share the card on the screen, and I always like to make sure that everybody knows that the National Mahjong League does give their instructors, not their instructors, but instructors permission to share the card for teaching purposes. So I've already reached out to them in the past, and I did get it in writing. So I feel pretty good about that. But I want to make sure you all know that. Now, anything that I have on here is all based on my own research and my own opinion. I just want to make sure you all know that. I am always open to corrections, suggestions, email them to me. If there's anything that you see that I stated incorrectly or anything you want to see as an improvement to this, I am always open to making all of my events better for you, because this is what it's for. It's for you guys. All right. And the format will be chat will be used to ask questions and take your notes if you have any particular questions. The chat will be used to ask questions. I'm going to be providing fun data, helpful tips, and exercise to strengthen your knowledge of the card. I was pleasantly surprised to receive several emails from people who watched last year or maybe got the PDF of this presentation, because I always like to do an exercise where I put two unique exposures, only two exposures that are unique to a hand. I was amazed this year at how many less there were than last year. I don't think I did every single iteration, but still way less than last year. That's going to be included as well. Okay, with time permitting, for those of you who want to hang around with me after the presentation, I'm going to head over to I Love Maj for some interactive playtime. I'll be playing against the bots, and I would love for you guys to help me as well, which I'm always open to anybody who's present at any of my live streams on Sunday night or Wednesday night to help me, because this is all about us learning the card together. All right, perfect. All right, so we're going to start with the back of the card. I always want to make my presentation unique and different from everybody else's. So I hope that I'm able to deliver that for you guys. On the back of the card, we have game begins here. The information pertaining to jokers has now moved to the right panel, and we have this wording here for game begins, with East discarding their 14th tile. Players to the right of East pick and discard in turn, and a player's turn begins, underlined, when they either pick or claim or call, synonymous, a tile. A discarded tile may only be claimed to complete a pung, kong, quint, or sextet. I like that they added sextet in there, although we haven't seen a sextet in many, many years. Now, why does this change? Well, through the year, they get many letters and inquiries and phone calls from players asking about rules, suggesting things, and they take things off or they move things around, and add other things that they think are more relevant and important. So that's the first thing that we have as far as a change. Now, claiming a discard under 5 and 6 of claiming a discard category has new wording beginning with except. And this is a good one. And this is one that has been asked, requested of the league, and pretty sure it was in the bulletin as well. But this is something that I am thrilled that they added. So the wording used to be except when another caller has claimed. Well, let me start out with the whole thing. When two players want the same tile for exposure, the player next in turn to discarder has preference, except when the other caller has claimed a discard by either placing the call tile on top of the rack or exposing tiles from their hand. The new wording has now included calling and picking up a tile from the table and putting it up on your rack is part of exposing or beginning to expose. So before, a lot of people, a lot of players thought that you had to take tiles out of your rack, and they called it the slam, whatever rule. But they would take tiles and slam them up on top of their rack so that whether or not the other player who simultaneously called was next in line, they would get the tile. But now they've added the part that somebody discards a tile and two people say call. The one that picks it up first and places it on their rack or acts first is going to get a preference for getting that call, regardless of whether they're next in line. So I'm very happy that that was added. And of course, for Mahjong, an exposure in Mahjong always wins out. There, it trumps. Mahjong trumps. So just know that, which I'm sure most of you guys already know. Okay, this one here is also new, and I'm really happy about this edition as well. On the back of the card, a player may change the number and type of tiles displayed in an exposure up until the player has discarded. Before, it was you could change from a pung to a kong, or a kong to a pung, kong to a quint, quint to a kong, but you could not change the type of tiles. Now you can make any kind of change that you want as long as it says the number and types of tiles in exposure up until you discard. That does not mean that if you pick up a tile from the table and you pick up the wrong discard, that you could put that back on the table. That's not what this is talking about. So just know there is a difference there. On the other panel, on the back of the card, there's only 2 panels that have great information. We have all these rules about jokers, few that have been there before, but now we have a whole list of rules about jokers. I don't want to go through every one of them, but I'm going to mention a couple of things. Number 1, jokers may be discarded and named joker same or name of previous discard. I'm kind of happy that this one was put here. There are still many people that are so confused about that, and they just don't have any idea why someone would name a joker same instead of joker. Well, simply put, if you say joker, everybody perks up. And if it's not at the end of the game when we're discarding jokers as safe tiles, because we've now already broken up our hand, if it's during the game and you say joker, it's going to alert everybody to the fact that you need a single tile or a part of a pair. And you don't want to do that if you don't have to. Look, we're supposed to be listening. We're supposed to be looking at all times. But if 1 or 2 of your table mates are busy concentrating on their hand and they miss it, they may see the joker a little later on, at which time they may make a comment. And of course, nobody's going to say anything. But if that should happen, then they're not going to know that you threw it. Only the one player who actually saw you throw it. So that's just a good strategy. Okay. Not that hard. I mean, yeah, habits are hard to break. I'm always doing live stream events in person and online about breaking habits because, yeah, habits are hard to break. But this is one that you could start doing. Just every little thing that you could do to be more defensive and more of a strategic player is fabulous. So these are all the rules for jokers. Again, the first one I really like a lot. Most of these you're going to be familiar with, but number 6 doesn't belong in the rules for jokers. It should have been under claiming a discard. It has nothing to do with jokers. So I don't know how that got, well, I shouldn't say I don't know how, I know how. I mean, we're human, we make errors. I experience that myself all the time, but that's in the wrong place. So this is pretty much standard joker rules. You could certainly review them. Okay, I love this one. I love this. Players should not throw in hands until all mahjongs are verified. Until the mahjong, not all, until the mahjong is verified. That, how many times have you, when somebody says mahjong, quickly flipped over the tiles from your rack? You know, we've all done it. I'm getting a lot better at not doing that because I have witnessed many times where someone puts up an erroneous mahjong. And if that's the case, you get to continue playing. So try to get in the habit of not doing that. Wait, verify it, and then you guys can all throw your hands in. Okay. I'd like to see how the card stacks up to the previous year's card. This is always fun for me. I love trivia bits about the cards. And, you know, I say every year that if I could get my hands on every single card, I would love to do an in-depth analysis from 1937 to present. There is partial information on the internet, but not complete from the beginning of time. So that's something I would love to do. So we have our pairs of flowers. Now these, when I do this analysis, the singles and pairs I do not include in this particular analysis. So for the pairs of flowers last year to this year, not bad, 16, 18 to 16 this year. So we've got a few less. We've got a 100% qualitative finding because we had 0 pungs of flowers last year. So that's 100% increase regardless of the number. And that is great because I absolutely love the pungs of flowers. So I'm so happy they're back again. You really miss them when they're not there. And then you realize very quickly why you adore them so much. Our kongs of flowers is also a pretty close match. We had 8 last year and 7 this year. With our quints, no more quints of flowers. So was last on last year's card. We'll just have to see what the future brings for those, but we don't have any more quints of flowers this year. Now our total hands with flowers this year is 29. Last year we had 28, so that's also a close match. Again, another pretty close match here with hands with only 1 pair, 12 this year, 14 last year. 2 pairs, we had 21 this year, 20 last year. Again, another close match. Hands with 3 pairs, another close match, 3 to 4 last year. And then we have hands with 4 or more pairs, 3 to 1, which is a 200% increase. That's pretty significant when it comes to the number of hands that have 4 or more pairs. Hands with singles, pretty big increase, 36.36%. We have 15 this year and 11 last year. Hands with singles and pairs, an 80% increase from last year. We have 9 this year and 5 last year. Hands with 3 kongs, we have 8 this year and 12 last year. And hands with 2 pungs and 2 kongs, close, but about a 12.5% decrease there from last year. Now, the total number of pungs on the card, we have an increase of 10.23%, and the total number of kongs on the card, a decrease of 11.43%. This year, we have a slight decrease. Go there. I don't know what happened. It got cut off, but not bad. But we've got 3 hands of quints this year and 5 last year. And then we have an increase of 23% hands with dragons this year. We're going to talk a little bit more about our dragons this year as we proceed through the presentation. And concealed hands, 7 compared to 6, pretty close match. Now, this is the biggest difference in my comparison this year, but that's because 864 of the hands came from one, possible variations came from one hand, and that was line 2 of quints last year. 864 iterations. That's huge. I don't know that that'll ever happen again. I am sure that the league had letters and phone calls and heard all about the hubbub over that second hand. I don't think we'll ever see a hand with that many iterations again on the card. But all of this, when I am playing and I'm looking at the card, all of this helps me figure out how to approach the card, how easy it is compared to last year, etc. And it's just fun for me to do this comparison. Now, my overall assessment on this card is that this card might be a bit harder because percentage-wise, it has a large percentage more hands with singles and hands with singles and pairs. However, this easily evens itself out with the pungs of flowers and overall increase of pungs on the card. So I, at first, was thinking, looking at it just visually, thinking, whoa, this is going to be a really tough card. Slowly, I started seeing it wasn't as tough as I thought it would be. And what I've also noticed is that it is very switchable friendly, and that makes it really, really super nice. We'll explore more of this in the upcoming slides. We lost one of the easiest quint hands, of course, which I just said, line 2 from last year. But we have a very flexible and easy quint hand this year, which is line 1, consisting of a pung and a kong. So I expect that hand to be made quite a bit this year. If you're thinking of playing easier hands, you may want to take a look at this, how I feel it stacks up as far as harder to easiest hands. Hands with singles and pairs, to me, goes at the top. Then just hands with singles would be next. Then just hands with pairs next. Then our quint hands, although this year quint category looks pretty user-friendly to me so far. Then hands with 3 kongs, and then hands with 2 pungs and 2 kongs. Certainly the bottom 2 bullets, those are the 2 types of hands where we can use jokers quite a bit, especially the bottom bullet, hands with 2 pungs and 2 kongs. Those are the hands that if you need to keep a backup, ever keep a backup, that's a good one to keep within a category because you don't have to depend on a single or a pair. So that's something that, I wanted to give you that little tidbit there. Okay, now every year we have hands that return as a variant. And if you're newer to the game, a lot of this presentation is going to be kind of eye-opening to you. But it's great stuff to know, especially when you get the new card and you're starting to recognize certain things that look similar, but aren't quite exactly the same. So for instance, this line 2 here of 2025, we now have these 2 pungs and 2 kongs all over the card like we usually do, although this year a few less, where last year it was 2 pungs and 2 kongs. So it went pung, pung, kong, kong. And this year, they're all going to be pung, kong, pung, kong. So we need to adjust our brain and be careful until we get really familiar with the card when we're calling and exposing, that we don't accidentally put up the wrong number of tiles in a grouping. That's probably the biggest thing. Then we have our pung, kong in 2, 4, 6, 8 on both the right and left side of that card. 1 suit and 2 suit. In the middle section, we've got our top line, which is our fixed line. That means it can only be those numbers. There's no flexibility at all to that left and right side, but it comes back every year, and we'll have the groupings differently. Instead of the pair of ones, we saw a pung of ones with the pair of twos, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to change up, and sometimes it's going to stay the same. But that is one hand, fixed, not flexible, and certainly does also change up its configuration as far as our pairs, where the pairs are, pungs, kongs, etc. Then we have our pung, kong, right and left sides. Again, every year it comes back. This year, it just changed its configuration. This is another one. Last year, we had the pair of flowers with 3 kongs. This year, we have to be a little more careful in that we secure our pair there in the middle, and we have the 1 suit and 2 suits. So that's a definite that we have to make sure when we're doing our run that we think about when we're choosing this hand this year. A little harder to make, although the pair of flowers isn't easy, but we definitely need to make sure we don't get trapped in working a run that doesn't have the pair secured in the middle. At least you don't want to commit only to that. Let's put it that way. This hand as well is our fixed numbers in 1 or 3. Well, the whole category is fixed, but this is also another line that does change up. And this year we have a pair, a pung, a kong, a pung, and a pair. So you just have to get used to the changes from year to year. And again, our pung, kong. You see there are many pung, kongs throughout the card. Easiest hands by far to make on the card, always. And now on this right panel, we've got our pung, kong, and we've got it 2 ways, just like we did last year. So this is nothing new to us, but it's nice that we have the flexibility, having a kong, pung, kong, whereas this year, and on the right side, pung, kong, pung. Try to say that 10 times on the right side. You've got lots of flexibility there, which is great. Flexibility, great, but a dead giveaway when you start exposing this section. All right, we've got our flowers with a pair of north, east, west, and south, and this is another hand that has been consistently on the card. Last year it had a pair of flowers, and I think it was a single north and a pair of east. I don't remember exactly, but something of that sort. Okay, and now we have our 3, 6, 9, again, our returning hand, which is this year pung, kong, and no longer pung, kong. Another hand that returns consistently. Oh, they got pretty with putting a plus and equal sign in between these, but this really is the same hand that we've been having on the card for a long time. I don't know exactly what they were thinking, but okay, it looks pretty, I guess. And then finally in this section are like numbers with the matching dragons. Last year we had our pung of numbers with our kong of dragons, and this year it is a kong of numbers with a pung of dragons. Okay, hands I've never seen before. And now this is throughout a 15-year period. I did have cards all the way back to when I learned the game in my mid to late 20s. During a move, I lost a whole bunch and somehow miraculously found one 85-year card, but all the others are gone. But I was able to collect and keep back 15 years ago forward. So I have 15 years of data. I've never seen these hands, and I would almost venture to say that they haven't been on a card before. I would love to know if any of these, if you've seen them on older cards, if any of you are collectors of these cards, let me know. And by the way, if you want to share any with me so I have more data to provide, I welcome those. All right, so let's see. This one here with the two pungs, the 2025 and the flowers. I have not seen that hand before. This one here, the 2025 with 2s and 5s. And of course, this whole section is brand new. But, you know, I don't consider the whole section. I'm just taking hands that I couldn't find in the last 15 years. The 2, 4, 6, 8, the addition hand, 2 plus 4 equals 6. And then 2 plus 6 equals 8. These are all new hands to me. This fourth one with the singles, very pretty, cute hand, 2, 4, 6, 8 with our pungs of 2s. And this flower, pair of flowers, 3 kongs, 3 suits, including the dragons here. So this one is also another one new to me. This definitely is new to me. This any like numbers line 1 with the single dragons. Pretty cool hand. And this one, amazing hand. Boy, did this cause a lot of confusion, didn't it, in the beginning? I had people emailing saying, why are they saying there's only one error on the big card? There's 2, line 2 of any like numbers. It's wrong. Those pairs are supposed to be together and it's supposed to be a Kong. But no, it is 2 separate sets of pairs in the same suit. When you make this hand, or if you're going for this hand as one of them, you don't want to lock into that hand until you have a Kong of one of the suits in the numbers that you're playing that you can split out. You got to keep that one in mind. That is a sure way of going dead very quickly and not being able to do much else if you expose a Pung of 1s and you don't have anything else that you're kept track of to switch into, like a run of numbers. But when you've got all like numbers, that's going to be hard to get to switching to a run, of course. And I love this concealed hand. Yes, concealed hands are a little tougher, but if I'm going to keep track of any like numbers, I'm keeping track of all 3 to protect myself. And that third concealed hand has 4 pungs in it. That makes it extremely user-friendly. Pungs are much easier to make than Kongs, for sure. And if you were to be lucky enough to even have 1 flower during the game and all this starts coming in, you got to go for it. More hands I've never seen before. This number 1 quint hand, which is very cool. Definitely dead giveaway if you put up a Pung of 1s and a Kong of 2s, consecutive numbers in 2 suits. You could just memorize that one as knowing exactly what someone's playing without having to think too hard. This one as well is new and I like it. I think it's a fun hand with the singles, the Pung of flowers, which I love. The 1, 2, 3 singles, and then the 2 Kongs and the 2 next numbers up from whatever you start with. Of course, 8, 9 is going to be the highest you can here. And we've got 1, 2, 3 with dragons flower, 1, 2, 3 with dragons. I haven't seen that with flowers before. 1, 2, 3 with the pairs of dragons. That's also new to me this year. This one, new to me and really a fun hand. There's been a lot of talk about this hand too, floating around, because that pair can be in any position in this run. And whatever position you make that pair, The Kongs have to match it. There's a lot to wrap your brain around this one. If you're a newer player, absolutely, I get it. If you're starting out with a 3 and you happen to have 5 numbers in a row, you want to certainly grab any pair that you get in any position. But then, did you keep the right like numbers that go with that pair? So there's some juggling to be had, to be done with that hand. But it's a fun hand and extremely flexible. I mean, my God, any consecutive numbers, the pair in any position, it's very, very flexible. Another new one here. This one I had a chuckle at, actually. And I said, well, wait a minute. They have a 0 in this hand. Maybe this should have been renamed 135790 or 013579. After all, it is a number when that dragon is used as a number, and there's no 0 in this category heading, so I laughed a little bit about it. But cute hand, just that these have to be the same suit. I had to wrap my brain around that one. I was expecting it to be 3 suits. My mind wants to make it 3 suits. Normally, we have 1 or 3 suits when we have addition hands. So that's the deal with that one. All right, let's see another new one. Our Pung of Flowers. Again, love those Pungs of Flowers with our single 135 and our Kongs of 7s and 9s. We have 1 suit. We have 3 suits on the right and left. We have some wonderful variety of left and right hands this year. In this category alone, we have 3, 4, 5, 6 lines where you've got a left, 7 lines where we've got a choice of a left and a right side. Very flexible category this year. And this hand, 135 with the pairs of dragons. We've got lots of pairs of dragons showing up on this card. Makes it quite interesting. Our dragons are going to be friendly keepers this year, especially during the Charleston. And we have our news now has been moved from any like numbers. I was a little sad about that for a little bit until I realized that this happens to be one of my favorite hands this year, and I love it. If you're keeping 1, 3, 5, 7, 9s, those are the tiles you're collecting. You might as well try and see if you can get news. Just gives you one more option. And I'm really liking that hand. Let's see what we have on the right side for ones I've never seen before in the past 15 years. Pair of flowers with 3 singles and the 3 dragons, a pair, Pung, and a Kong. That's another fun hand. Got to admit, there's some very fun and interesting hands this year. This one here, northeast, west, south, our concealed hand with dragons. Very cool. That's usually with numbers, not with dragons. I like that one. Haven't tried it yet, but I will at some point. All right, what else we have new here? We have our 4th line with our Pung of Flowers. And by the way, we have our Pung of Flowers up here too. And Pung of Flowers with 3s and 9s with 3, 6, 9 singles sandwiched between the two Kongs that are the same suit. Another fun one. I don't know if it's going to be that easy, but it's fun. And single dragon showing up again here for our concealed 369 hand as also being new. Okay, now we're going to break it down a little bit more just to go through and make sure that everybody understands some of these hands that have been going around and can be a little more confusing. We have this line 1 of 2025 where the Pungs can be 2s or 5s. And this is going to be 3 suits. Keep in mind, all 3 suits are utilized in this hand. You can use 2s or 5s for the Pung of Dragons. And I do find that often beginners forget to read what's in here. It's a lot easier to just look at the card and make that. But you've got way more flexibility when you're keeping track of more than one thing always. Okay, this hand here with our Kong of flowers. The pungs can be any even numbers. This is a 3-suit hand. That gives it tremendous amount of flexibility. The fact that you can do 2s, 4s, 6s, or 8s. Great. Flexibility is fabulous. Yeah, we've got 4 singles here. Love this hand. It's interesting, but definitely want to make sure before you lock in that hand, you've secured those singles. Oh, and by the way, whatever the pung is, whether you do 2s or 4s or 6s or 8s, they have to be the same number, but different suits. You can't do a pung of 2s and a pung of 6s or pung of 6s and a pung of 8. Matching pungs. This here, line, this is 3-6, line 6 and 2, 4, 6, 8. We got used to the fact that the above hands could be any even numbers, but this hand, they have to be 8s. They have to be pairs of 8s. That is going to be a little bit of a challenging hand, I feel, to secure those 8s in the pairs, but that's it. And then I have the asterisks moved down also to here and here. And this one here, we have the 2s can be any even numbers again, just like this hand here. Oh, down here. And the concealed hand. Again, any even numbers. So the only ones that you can't choose any of the even numbers is this hand, line number 6. Otherwise, huge amount of flexibility in this section as well. We love flexibility in this game. All right, any like numbers? I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I want to mention it again. Beware of this hand. Make sure if you are keeping track of any like numbers, keep track of all of the hands. Do not get excited, which I know beginner players tend to do, and lock in by calling the very first tile that goes out and securing a pung. You are going to set yourself up for hand failure. So just make sure that you, as long as you can hold out, keep track of all 3 hands. If you get a Kong of any one number, you can split those up. You've now got those pairs secured, and then you can call a pung, certainly for sure. Our closed hand this year, no more news here. I was a little bit sad, like I said earlier, about that, but I'll get over it and I'll get used to this card and come to love it like I do most other year. All right, point category to begin with. If you have lots of jokers, why not? Oh, my W is not there. Okay, it's funny how I could go through this 10 times and never see it until tonight. But jokers, you got a lot. Why not take a look at quints? All the hands are very flexible. The coming up slides, we're going to be talking more about categories that are very switchable and interchangeable. But this one here is just so easy and flexible. It's probably one of the easiest quint hands I've seen, although last year's line 2 was pretty darn easy with 864 iterations, but this one is definitely going to be easy, and I think that's going to be played quite a bit. If you can keep this hand concealed for as long as possible, you'll be better off, because it is definitely a dead giveaway when somebody puts up a pung of 1s in one suit and a Kong of 2s in another. And this is what I just said. So that is those 2 exposures right there is a dead giveaway. Of course, anytime you expose a quint before anything else, it's a dead giveaway too. So there are some categories which have way more dead giveaways than others. Quints, Winds and Dragons are the 2 biggest. All right, now consecutive run, we have line number 6 here with the dragons that are in, with the dragons being considered, you know, they take on the persona of a suit, but I've had some people question me about this, saying it was confusing where they say any 3 suits here. Don't know if any of you have read it that way or been confused, but it does not mean any 3 suits in the 1, 2, 3. And I had an experienced player said to me, I think this could have been worded better. Maybe so, maybe so. But it does say any 3 suits. And when we learn and know how to read the card, when you look at this hand, there are 3 colors, and that means 3 suits. So that those dragons take on the persona of the suit. So they are the suit when it comes to knowing, having to know, if you start out with cracks, what opposing dragons are going to be needed here. I just wanted to mention that. Line number 7 here is, again, we talked a little bit about it earlier, but it's very, very flexible hand with the pair being able to be in any position. I recommend when you either practice with your own set or you practice online at a place like I Love Maj with the exercise room and stuff, if you can try and work when you're playing in the exercise room, make the hands. If you can make this hand in as many ways as you can so that you can get familiar with the fact that it is so flexible. I don't want everybody to get focused on keeping that pair in the first position. I see that happening already with my beginner groups that I run. So just get used to making that hand in different ways. Remember, this is 2 suits. If you're anything like me, who've been playing forever, this was, my brain wanted this to be 3 suits. And our 1, 3, 5, again, any 3 suits with opposite dragons. Like this hand up here in consecutive run, again, the 3 suits include the dragons that are shown here. So just make sure you don't think that the 1, 3, 5 has to be different suits. They're all one color. That means 1 suit as we know it when we read the card. And under the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, news is the first time we've had that in this category. So interesting, different, fun. New hand here is fun with any 1 suit in the run and the 3 dragons. So that's really fun. So that is nice because this could be any suit and then all 3 dragons. And then the 1, 2, 3, it does not matter what consecutive numbers you use there. So that's pretty flexible. I said this earlier too, this hand may look different, but it's the same hand that we've been seeing every year. And singles and pairs. I always like to talk a little bit about this, and I'm going to show you on the next screens. You don't have any jokers to start with. Why not look at singles and pairs? Because they're baby bits of all the other categories. They're a hand that can be easily switched, every one of these lines, into another category. This one here, of course, is kind of split between wins and consecutive, but it's still easily switchable either way to wins or consecutive. This would be the 2, 4, 6, 8 category, the 3, 6, 9 category, the consecutive numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and our big hand. And we're going to be talking more about switchables in just a minute. But what I wanted to show you, so I talked about no jokers, give the singles and pairs a try. So a friend of mine had said, you know, I did this once for a group I was teaching, and this is how we played with the card, just to see how different the singles and pairs hands would be looked at if they were placed under the category where they belong, because they're kind of intimidating sitting over there entitled in their own category with all those the high values and all that. But look at when you put these hands under the category where they belong, it doesn't look that bad. I think it's a lot less intimidating. Just another vantage point, another way to look at our singles and pairs. Now we're going to talk about the easy switches from what categories to what categories. And when we're done with this, I am going to, for those that stick around, I'll talk a little bit more about keeping your flexibility with the card if you're going to stick around and come over to I Love Maj, and hopefully we have enough time to do that. for at least a game or two. The 2025 year category could be very easily switchable with any like numbers. Last year we had 2024 and it was really nicely interchangeable with 2, 4, 6, 8. This year it's not so much, but you've got, you know, your 2s, you've got 5s, lots of like pungs. So anyway, this is a nice section where you can keep an eye on this and this. If for any reasons you're getting a lot of 2s, you're not getting 5s, well, guess what? Any like numbers would be a great category to keep track of. Okay. Our 2, 4, 6, 8, again, another category which you can easily keep an eye on any like numbers or switch out if you have to. If you have more 2s or more 6s or more 4s, it is definitely an easy thing to keep track of. The more you can keep track of, the more chances you have to win. And these hands particularly for any like numbers, because you've got the 2 in this first single, you've got 2s here. You're obviously collecting a bunch of 2s or 4s or 6s or 8s, and the same with this hand and the same with this hand. So if you start to recognize these things about the card, you're going to have more options if you needed to switch out. And then in our twin section, our first 2 hands, those are both consecutive runs. You know, you need to switch out for any reason, you certainly can. Keep an eye on both. And, you know, you might find a hand that's a lot easier, or that you're assured that you can use a group, a joker, not have to worry about a pair. You may end up switching out, but just keep track of that. And of course, under this category for the line 1 and line 2, we've got these hands particularly 1, 2, 3 with your same suit, even suit, and 1, 2, 3 with the dragons and the 1, 2, 3. So we've got lots of consecutives that we could work with between our quints. Now in our any like numbers category, we've got big any like numbers in our quints. So my God, you have a lot of jokers. Keep track of both. This and this, if you need to pick one because you didn't get your dragons, they all went out, you could still work on the quint hand that you obviously had some jokers, 2 or 3, I'm sure, to be working on that. So just another 2 categories that work really, really well together. And this one as well, because you've got 2 kongs of like numbers and they match the pair of like numbers. That makes a whole lot of sense to be able to keep track of that and also any like numbers. And then in our 3, 6, 9 category, with our 3rd hand and our 5th hand here, where you have kongs of the 3s, 6s, or 9s, again, another easy section to keep track of with any like numbers. And we've got our any like numbers and winds and dragons too. Wow, I think this particular card is very switchable. I love it that there's that flexibility. And we've got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and 3, 6, 9, which is a very strong crossover category. There were a couple last year, but this year, and the reason is you've got a couple of odds in 3, 6, 9 that are in the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So very often I am keeping track of both this category and this category until I could see what's going on through the Charleston to whether or not I'm getting a lot of 3, 6, 9s or a lot of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9s. Like I said, I like to stay open and flexible as long as possible. That's what Mahjong is all about, really. Now, my favorite hands this year so far at quints line 1, consecutive run line 4, consecutive run line 7, the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, left and right side with news, I like a lot. And the Winds and Dragons line 2 with the pair of flowers, the singles, and the 3 dragons. I love that. And we have some additional insights here that I just noted. There are 21 new hands out of 71 hands that are new in at least the past 15 years to me. The more new hands that we have, the more fun and interesting the card is. So we welcome those new hands. We don't want to get bored. By the end of the whole year, we're like waiting and chomping at the bit for our new card. 25 section 2s and 5s are not friendly neighbors. So unless you keep some 3s and 4s, your chance of switching out of this category are not all that possible. With the big hand back using only numbers 2025, this hand is easy to switch to the year category if you start picking jokers and decide you want to bail on that singles and pairs hand. But my God, if you have no jokers, go for it. Just go for it. If you don't go for it, you're never going to know if you can make it. There are some obvious dead giveaways, which include line 1s of quints, as I mentioned, and as usual, Winds and Dragons, meaning if you put up 1 quint, everybody knows what you're playing, that you're playing at least one of those 3 hands. If you put up line 1, a pung and a kong in 2 consecutive numbers in 2 suits, that's a dead giveaway in that category. Winds, there are no other exposures in any other hands that could be done. So this is, as usual, a dead giveaway category. So hold off exposing as long as you can, if you can. If your hand is so well formed and you can call on everything, well, you got to do it. But shouldn't be calling early anyway, but especially if you're going to call and expose something early and everybody knows what you're doing. Because if I were sitting with you, I'd be dumping everything that I got that was a wind right away if I knew that. Playing that category. If it can be avoided, don't pass dragons this year with the Charleston, because we have single dragons, which are rare on the card, and we've got them under the any like numbers. So just try not to pass those, and under 369, the bottom concealed hand. If you can avoid it, that would be a smart thing to do. Try not to pass them during the Charleston this year. Everything changes from year to year depending on what we have, what prizes, what surprises we get on the card. In the past 15 years, there has only been one other year with a single dragon on it, and that is the 2023 card. And in the past 15 years, there have only been 2 years out of the 15 that did not have a pair of dragons, 2021 and 2024. Just a little trivia, but I love that stuff. I can't help it. If you can avoid it, don't pass a flower during the Charleston. First of all, that's pretty steadfast rule for me. Always avoid passing flowers every year. They are a gift. There's always at least around a third of the card of the hands have flowers. A third, a little less, a little more. Don't pass them because, well, okay, when somebody says to me, why shouldn't I pass a flower? My first question is, how do you know you're not going to need a flower? There's no way, unless you have some immediate direction in the tiles that you have early on during the Charleston, that say to you, this hand is amazing, but it doesn't use flowers, and now I have no choice. I'm going to have to pass one. That doesn't happen often. So avoid passing flowers because you don't know if you're going to need them. Why wouldn't you keep them? There's so many hands with them, right? But this year especially, this year we've got pungs of flowers back. I'm so excited about that. I just love my pungs of flowers. And now they're even more important. Their pungs are easier to make than kongs, right? So without pungs, if you pass a flower, you're going to help out one of your table mates by giving them maybe one tile toward a pair that they're looking to make, or one tile toward the kong, and that's a lot of flowers that you got to make. But when you have pungs of flowers, not only do you have to think about the pair, feeding them one of those toward a pair or a kong, but also a much easier grouping of a pung. So keep that in mind, please. Stay open and flexible for all three hands and any like numbers, and avoid committing to line 2 unless you already have a kong of like numbers that you can split into those 2 pairs. As with last year, on this year's card, every number is used as a single tile. Even if you can account for 3 tiles on the table, it's still a hot tile until the end of the game. So that is something that was a bit challenging to study, not too challenging, but every single tile on last year and this year could have been used as a single tile. So remember that as you start getting down and there's less tiles, taking into consideration what somebody has exposed. Every tile could be hot up until the very end of the game. News is shown one more time this year, so any wind can be hot until the end of the game. My rule of thumb with winds and dragons, if you're not playing them, just get them out early, because that hand, I think, I'm predicting is going to be pretty popular, that hand under 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. You don't want to hold a wind, a west or something, and somebody calls it later on for it to complete that news. So just get them out early. The big hand, 2025, if 3 2s of one suit or 2 soaps have been discarded, then you know that nobody's playing that big hand. Or they might even be sitting with a dead hand, but hopefully not. Hopefully they knew that they could switch over to the 2025 year category. But that's just something, like little pieces of information that you learn can just give you more leverage, being able to have more information, more knowledge about what you can or cannot do. All righty. All right. Now, before we head on to the final part with going over to I Love Maj and the hands that I've created for you to make, I just want to talk a little bit, very briefly. We have a big event in October. It's lots of fun, open to all level players, social players, tournaments, fundraiser, silent auction, lots of fun here. And then we also have a cruise in April of 2026. Again, all level players, whether you're social or tournament, would love to have you join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I would love to be able to meet some of you guys in person for either the October or the April event. Okay, so this is the part that's fun. Now, we're not going to do this together, but I'm going to just show you what I have here for you. All of these 2 exposures are unique exposures, so there's only one hand that they can be. There's an answer key at the end to compare how you did. So don't cheat, see how you can get through these, but have fun doing it. All right, now I'm going to open this up right now to Q&A to see if you have any questions. Single KR, Karen, I guess. 3 single numbers in a row. We don't use the term chow in American Mahjong. It's used in Asian Mahjong. So I think I heard somebody at some point mention chow and why we don't use chow in Asian but not American. Because we do use pungs, the term pungs and kongs, and I'm not really sure why they don't, but we just call them singles. That's what we call them. We don't call it a chow. Let's see. Okay, the big hand 2025. Now, Leslie says, can I go over the big hand again? All right, so the 2025 big hand is the bottom hand of singles and pairs. And every year we call that the big hand because it is the highest value. It's 75 cents. And this year we don't have any winds mixed in there. We don't have any dragons mixed in there. And this hand, if you have no jokers and you have some soaps, which are our Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde 0 tile, just collect all of your 2025s. If you start to get in a joker or jokers and you're starting to think, oh boy, I don't want to discard these jokers, you could pop over into the 2025 category because that's all 2 zeros, 2s, 5s. But if this hand is really beautiful and you maybe are only waiting for 2 tiles, like you need a 5 of one suit, a 2 of one suit, and maybe a 2 of another suit, or maybe you're waiting on 2 and you get 1 joker in, I very often has discarded the joker because I want to hang in there because I'm so close to it. Sometimes, when you are playing a hand like this and you get close, that's when the jokers come in, right? For those of you that have experienced this, it gets to be a little frustrating because it's like, oh no, I'm starting to get jokers every single pick. So anyway, that's I hope I answered you on that one. All right, so what else did we have? Linda said, second from bottom consecutive run numbers, can it be 1, 2, 2, 3, 4 with 2s? So here we have the, okay, consecutive run, the hand, second from the bottom, line 7 from the top. That can be 1, the question was, can it be 1, a pair of 2s, 3, 4, 5 with a Kong of 2s in different suits? Yes, absolutely, Linda. It can be exactly like that. Absolutely. And it doesn't have to start with 1. It could start with 2 and go 2 through 6 or 3 through 7, picking your pair in any position. All right, let's see what else you have here. If 2 players want the same tile for an exposure or a Maj and neither exposed tiles, does the tile go to the next in line? It doesn't matter who calls first, does it? No, no action taken. It's the action taken that changes that up. But if no action is taken, the next in line gets it. But if I were calling a tile, I wouldn't be waiting around anyway. I'm going to say call, and I'm going to take that tile off the table. People say to me, what's simultaneous? What do you mean by simultaneous? Well, it's as close to being said at the same time as possible, but I would say within 1 or 2 seconds, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. On rules for jokers, what does name of previous discard mean? Okay, good question, Francie. That's a great question. There are 3 ways you can name a joker. My preference is to say same, not joker. But you're also allowed to call it, repeat the name of the previous discard. So if one of your table mates discarded a 3 crack and you're up next and you pick and you're discarding a joker, you could name it 3 crack. So that's what that means. I'm not a fan of that, to be honest with you, but they allow it. So that's why. Okay, in Winds and Dragons, does the 1, 2, 3 have to match the Kong of Dragons? Let's go there to that one right here. 1, 2, 3. You see it says any 3 dragons, any 1 suit, any, that's the big word there. You take any 3 consecutive numbers. That's what makes that hand so very fun and flexible. Any suit here, but use all 3 suits for the dragons. All right, for everybody who is leaving or going to be leaving soon, thank you all so much for joining in. It's been really great spending the evening with you. Thank you for coming. And of course, you know where to reach me. I put my email So you can always ask me questions through email if you want. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again and head over to I Love Maj. Alrighty, so this is something that I have always been verbally explaining to my students, and it wasn't until probably I want to say maybe 9 months ago that I thought I have to do a visual on this because it is so very important to this game of Mahjong. And so I had it made and I was like, I got to name it. And some people were helping me with that. And it's just nothing kind of fit for how the whole infographic here looks. But I named it Build a Hand Pathway. And it's a step guide from the end of the Charleston to finally picking one hand. Remember, flexibility is key. So this is how this works. All right, so here's how this build a hand pathway works. And this is how I want all my students to think of how the game is played, because this is what keeps flexibility, keeps you open and flexible when you're playing the game, and is going to afford you more mahjongs. We all know that in the beginning, when you're first learning, you make mahjong, it's going to be a lot of luck. You got lucky with some of the tiles, with jokers, but that is not going to be on your side over and over again. If you do not put strategy together with luck, you're going to see that over time, you're going to start kind of flailing. You're not going to be keeping up with others who are making more mahjong. So step one, by the end of the Charleston, you have 2 to 4 categories picked out. You have collected tiles that work in 2 to 4 categories. So let's say I was keeping track of, and it could be 2, only 2, it could be 4, okay? I'd rather you pick 2 than just 1, to be honest. And I'm keeping track of any like numbers. And I'm also keeping an eye on wins and dragons, because my tiles right now could go any way. They could go towards 2, 4, 6, 8. It could go toward any like numbers. And it can go toward wins and dragons here. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I see 2, 4, 6, 8s that I've collected. I've had like numbers in 2, 4, 6, 8 right now, and I have some wins and dragons. So this is where I'm heading right now. I'm playing the game, and step 2 now comes to be, because as the game progresses, the number of categories are going to decrease. And why is that going to happen? That's going to happen because I started getting in more tiles that fit into one of the other categories. So now, all of a sudden, I'm looking at any like numbers and wins and dragons. I didn't get either the 4s or the 6s or the 6s or the 8s. They just were not coming in at all. And somebody else put up an exposure that indicates they may be playing something in that category, possibly. And you know what? It wasn't working for me. So now I'm 2 categories. Great, starting to work out. Step 3 is the game progresses more, and eventually you're going to then end up with 1 category. And that is going to be, for me, it ended up to be the any like numbers category. Now, guess what? We start over again, kind of the same way we did here, at a high level down to a low level. Step 4 is under this category that I have picked, you're going to keep an eye on several hands. In this particular case, any like numbers only has 3 lines. I'm keeping track of all 3. But if you had settled in on another category, you might be keeping track of more hands than this, okay? Now the game progresses even more. and the number of hands that I'm working on start to decrease. And every time that happens, and I now am keeping an eye on any like numbers line 1 and 3 because I can't make a Kong based on what's gone out. There's no way I can split or make a Kong and split that for line 2. So I gave up on that. It was just not working for me. Every time you get down to less options, it creates new discards for you. So you're just discarding the ones that are no longer relevant for what your categories are, or the hands in this case. Finally, step 6, about halfway through the game, maybe more, maybe less, you're probably focused on one hand. And it ended up that my tiles, the way they came in, I already had 3 dragons sitting there with my like numbers, and it was just too pretty. And I didn't really care whether it was a concealed hand. I was so close to making that hand that I was going for it. And that's pretty much how this game works. I know it's challenging for newer players. I'm going to be going over, like I said, to I Love Maj. For those of you that come on Wednesday nights, you already have seen me do that very often on my Wednesday night skill building. But this is the way I do it when I play from the beginning of time until now. I know that there are some students that told me they learned to pick one hand from the get-go, one hand, and that is just going to block you into only one hand out of 1,002 iterations that there are on this card. You don't want to do that. All right, so I hope this helps, but this is definitely the way to look at it. So this is my build a hand pathway. All right, now I'm going to close out here. Stick around for a little bit. If you've never seen Wednesday night skill building, this is a great opportunity to see it, and a great opportunity to see how we work that build a hand pathway. And we're at ilovemaj.com, where I do all my live streams. I'm an affiliate of theirs because I absolutely love this site. So intuitive. We're going to be playing in the game Launchpad, but now that the 2025 card is here, this exercise room is unlike any other on any other site. It would be a wonderful gift to give yourself. You can actually try this out and get 3 weeks instead of 2 by using my affiliate code, which is my first initial and last initial, uppercase D, uppercase B, and try it out for 3 weeks. It really is an amazing site. Up here, play against bots, 3 levels of intelligence. You can play with your friends at a personal table, even schedule a game ahead of time with your friends. You can play live, but you don't know the level of players when you do that. So I don't personally recommend this as much, just my own personal opinion. Okay, let us go ahead and let's get started. I'm going to be playing against the advanced bots. They have been kicking my butt with this new card. Let me tell you, whoa, it's been so crazy. And I'm going to say no, because if I get invited to one of those live games that I said I wasn't so thrilled about, they're going to bump me out of what I'm doing. Here we are at the game launch, not the game launch pad, but beginning of before we get the table and the tiles dealt in. And make sure if you are in here, you've got the 2025 card picked. It doesn't automatically change it if you were using 2024 at one time. Okay, and the timer is a good thing to have on if you want to start to see how long it takes for you to make decisions during, when a discard goes out, how long it takes you to decide whether you want to call it. Even if you choose 10 and you run out of time, there's a pause button. So don't worry that you are going to lock into that. I keep it off now because we talk through things. You can change your colors of the card. It's fun. You can also play with different types of tiles. The Mahjong line, they are an affiliate of the Mahjong line tiles. They're beautiful, but you have to learn how to read them. They don't quite look the same as classic tiles. And if you're sight impaired, there's a large print. So that's really excellent as well.
First
All
Charleston.
right, well, let's get this game going. Now, I always sort my tiles by suit. I do not sort by rank because this helps me see whether I have any multiples and any tiles. Of course, the first hand that I almost want to go out and come back in and hope for different results, but I got one joker, but I don't have any multiples at all. But I do have a 1, 2, 3, and we talked about this hand during the presentation, and that's part of line 2 of Winds and Dragons. So that is kind of cool. And it is also, excuse me, part of line 4 in the consecutive run category. I'll keep my dragons because of that as well. And I will also keep, a lot of times I'll separate into even and odds, but with the even and odd separation, you have to remember to take a look, keep an eye on those single groupings, the 1, 2, the 3 numbers in a row. Of course, this could be any numbers, but I happen to have 1, 2, 3. But I'm obviously not going to keep track of one thing. I'm going to also take a look at maybe 1, 3, 3, 5 in the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 category. Maybe I'll keep the north and south and see if I get more of those, more 1s and 3s and 5s in different suits, and maybe I'll play that. When you've got one of everything, you do your best, but try to keep track of more than one thing. That's going to be the most important thing of all. I do see lots of other things that could potentially be something, but I think I like the idea of keeping the run. I've got those runs. I've got the 1s and 3s again, and I'll keep this too. And I think this is what I'm going to get rid of right now. So this gives me a lot of flexibility to keep an eye on that hand in the Winds and Dragons category, possibly a news hand in 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 with the low end odds, 1, 3s and 5s. So maybe some other hand in 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 if the news hand doesn't work out, but this is what the Charleston is all about. Building our hand. Let's see what we get. All right, I didn't get anything else in that went in the 1, 3, 5. Of course, I got some 6s, which make me think a little bit more about 3, 6, and 9 category, which we could definitely consider doing. But I think I'm going to stay right now with what I'm doing and not move from here. Let's see what happens in another move. I could keep some numbers for some runs and stuff as well, but let's see. Maybe I would want to keep this one. Maybe. For line 4 under consecutive run. Maybe I'll keep this, and maybe instead I'll get rid of the 1 bam. Because under the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 1, 3, 3, 5, I don't need more than the 2 1s to keep. Let's try that. Well, I got a north and not news, but I got another dragon. Now you notice I didn't say, but I don't have flowers for that second Winds and Dragons hand. But I did get another dragon, so I know I can get rid of this and this. Now, I want to keep track of something else in 1, 3, 3, 5, which hasn't really come in. I don't know whether I want to keep this 1, 2, 3 line 4 open, 1, 2, 3, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or keep the 1, 3, 3, 5 open with the news, but obviously I can't keep everything. So I just make a decision, hope for the best. I can do a blind pass here. I can, but I want to maximize what I get in, so don't think I'll worry too much about that. Oh boy, now, you know, the Charleston, things change up pretty quickly in the Charleston, okay? Now I got multiples of the 1s and 2s, and so my eye went to, well, gee, now I got 1, 2, 3, they're no longer singles. What can I do with that? Well, of course, practice the card in I Love Maj exercise room or make the hands at home. You're going to learn them. That's how we do it. Now I see line 6 in consecutive run, which I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to. It may take me away completely from Winds and Dragons, but this is kind of how it works out. And would I like to continue the Charleston? Well, you better believe I would. I would not stop it because I want to keep track of all these things. I would not stop it because I'm confused about what I'm going to play. If I have 3 tiles to pass and I don't have just one good hand, I am not going to stop it. So Mary says pass north, south, and 7. I hate to pass a north and south together, but we'll see. We're going to continue it.
Second Charleston.
I know I'm going to do that, and I know I'm going to do one of the wins. So to be honest, I'll be kind of happy with, yeah, the north and south, they go together with the wins. So I like to break those up if I can and not pass 2 wins together. I'm going to be very happy keeping an eye on that consecutive run and also keeping an eye on the Winds and Dragons hand. No, I wouldn't do north, south, red because this is a whole hand here. Line number 6 under consecutive run. 1, 2, 3 with the pairs of dragons. I can already call the 1s and 2. And I need one more good pick to call the 3. And if I get that red, I'll be in sweet position. But we'll see if all the reds go out, you know. But Agnes said one south. I agree, Agnes. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So now I've got some, but you see how things changed very quickly. Okay, now I have a 4. If I could keep it in my run here, I may keep it. I'm going to do the north, the 9, and I'll do the 1, which I got rid of earlier. So I'll go ahead and do the 1. And we'll see what happens. A west came in because I only had a north and south. See, when you play a lot more, you'll start remembering what comes in and comes out. I'm on my last right. I'm going to just get rid of all this. Hopefully Amistad didn't collect all the wins and gets these, but I'm going to do, actually, yeah, the 3 has never left my hand. That kind of says to me, don't send it out right now. I'd rather do that. So we'll just do that.
Courtesy pass.
Nothing new came in. I'm just going to pass the 3 I got in. That would have been nice if I did. I mean, I could keep the 3 and 4 for 1, 2, 3, 4 as a backup. That would be another nice backup, actually. And maybe the 4 is not as important since I have the 3 crack and 4 crack. So I'm thinking of Also under consecutive run, we talked about the pung kong, and that is the making of a pung kong, line 2 on the right side of consecutive run. It's weak, but I think it makes more sense. Let me try and maximize what I get here, and I'll just give up the 4. I don't need that 4 right now. I mean, it could come in handy, but we'll just wait. Let's see. Nothing that I would want to keep. If I kept the 4, maybe 1 through 5, but whatever. Okay, so now I am going to prioritize my discards. I like to get wins out early, and then after that, I like to get rid of anything that came in that's either leftover that I never passed in the Charleston that I'm not keeping. I decided to keep that. But anything that came to me in that last Charleston, I'll get out early. Very often, if a player had to break up something on a second left or an across, I could actually, if I held it, it could be something they need. So I'd rather get it out early. So let's put it that way. Freshest tiles go out early with some prioritizing, as we'll kind of take a look at. Now, 99 tiles, and I break up my, I do thirds for the game, begin game, middle, and end game. It helps us decide, make decisions. Begin game is a fast play, fast pace time of the game, where there's not a lot of decision making as far as what your opponents are doing, but we get closer toward the end of the middle game and into the end game. That changes. So we're at 99 tiles and in the
South.
game.
Soap.
I'm just
4
gonna
dot.
keep
North.
and see what happens. So now I got another 3 in. So our line number 6 under consecutive run just got that much stronger because I can call everything. And if I were to be able to call everything before all those reds went out, chances me getting it would be great. All right, let's just see
1
what
bam.
happens.
North.
I could stick that here. I don't usually put those in until I'm 100%. I mean, this looks like the hand right now, which has happened way earlier than. Okay, Deb says 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, line 6. Let me look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, and 5, line 6. Okay, I like that too. All right, so Deb just said 1, 3, 5 in the same situation with the opposite dragons under 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So I'll keep the 5 for a little bit. Kind of worries me that I got it so late in the game, but we'll keep an eye on it.
9 crack. East.
Okay, I don't need that. Now I am gonna not save these as a backup. So now I have 1, 3, 5 as my backup. The 3 never left my hand during the Charleston. So that is what I would consider a priority discard. This takes time to figure out all this stuff when you're a new player and trying to figure out all the rules and everything, but it will come. And Mary said line 6 consecutive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Line 6 consecutive. That's it right there.
3 crack. 4 dot.
Okay, there's a 4 dot.
9 bam. Soap.
And I'll go ahead and get rid of the 4. Oh, come on, move.
4
I
crack.
pretty
9
much
crack.
what's on the table and try
8 bam.
precious tiles that are not seen. The earlier you get out your opponent's tiles, the harder it is for them to make their hand.
Red.
There's 1 red. I have 2 more chances.
North. 4 bam,
Except for wins, I get out regardless if they're out. I get them out.
5 bam, 9 bam, north, 1 crack, 6 crack, 9 bam,
Okay, one more tile toward either 1 3 1 2 3 with the dragons or 1 3 5 with the dragons. Both line 6 consecutive run and 1 3 5 7.
7 crack, 6 crack, 4 crack, west, east, 7 crack, 2 crack, 1 crack,
Okay, no 8 bam out. There is one out. Is there a 6 dot out? There isn't. That's what I prioritize to go out.
6 dot, 5 dot,
All right, 1 5 dot. I can't call it. I would need a Kong, and I only have 1 5 and a joker.
7 dot, call, 5 crack,
Okay, we have an exposure up, and there's a joker available for exchange.
6 crack, joker swap, 4 crack,
Okay, somebody beat me to it. And I don't believe 3s are out. 3 bams are out. Nope.
3 bam, 3 crack,
Last Wednesday when
flower,
I played, man, I could not make it. I think I made one Mahjong. These bots were fierce. I
6
got
crack,
close, but they beat me to it.
east, 5 crack, 3 bam, 2 bam, Mahjong,
That was quick. So that was quick. Let me see how many tiles are left. It's 55 tiles. We're only into the middle, the middle game. Once we got down to 33 tiles, it would be the end game. So we were only 10, 11 tiles into the middle game. That was very, very close. Let's take a look at what everybody was doing. But meanwhile, look at my red. My red is here. What else? 1, 2, 3, 2s. We're going to look at their hands. Yeah. Okay. So I had some chance, but with the reds coming into my hands, a few more jokers. Let's take a look at what was playing. So he's got my 2 dot. He's playing line 1 of 2025. My 2 dot. There's another 5 dot novice dot's hand. Not that I was playing that. And he has my 1 dot here. My 1 dot too. So what was Amistad playing? Line 2 consecutive run. So the pung kong, 4 away from Mahjong. Kurt was playing consecutive run line 4 with those singles, 3, 4, 5, and then the 6, 7, 2 numbers in the opposite suits in a row, and 4 tiles away from Mahjong. Now, I was 3 away from Mahjong. So if we had a rating based on how close you're to Mahjong, I was second in place here. But very nice, Annie. That was a very pretty hand, 2025, line 1. Let's do it again. We've got one. We have enough time for one quick one. I'm supposed to end at 9, but I'll do
first Charleston,
because it's so much fun. All right, we're going to sort by suit. We'll do this again. Now, in this particular case, I do have a multiple. So I'll keep an eye on that first and build off of my multiple. So with 3s, I would take a quick look to see if I have any other 3s for like numbers, and I don't. And then I'm going to look at, I like to come back to consecutive run after I look at my other categories. So 3, 6, 9 I have here. We have north and south here. So north and south would go with odds, and that is a very possibility, a very good possibility. We could end up with north-south with odds. And I do have 2, 4, 6, 8, and we have a lot of choices here. Now, The challenge with 2, 4, 6, 8 this early is that some of this other stuff that I would like to keep for right now, like the north and south, I'm going to have to give up and pass. I'm also going to have to probably break up the 3 right away, and I don't want to do that. So my inclination would not to be to focus on 2, 4, 6, 8 right now, but let's see. I'm going to see if I could feed in some numbers that could be a possible something for a run. 3, 4, 5, 6. Nothing is really bubbly, making me bubbly right now. I just am going to have to do this. This is what I'm feeling for keeping right here. This is what I'm feeling I have the most flexibility with. I've got north and south, maybe with the odd numbers possibly that could happen. 3, 6, 9, possibly. I don't know. We'll just have to see. I got another 3. So, and I got another south. So now my north and south with my odds, because north and south is odds and east and west uses evens. That's pretty, not bad right there. Yeah, I need more work. I have to pass 3. I don't want to pass my flower. And I really want to keep my 6s. So what the heck do I do here? Because I don't want to pass the flower. I could get something back. You know, my fallback right now could be like numbers with 3s or 3, 6, 9. That's why I don't want to give anything away, but I have to. Oh, let's see how it works out. I got another 6. And now I'm on the first left, which I could do a blind pass. Could do a blind pass just to see if anything gives me a little bit more direction. Oh, let's see. No, it did not. And I have to continue. I have to follow my own rule. And so here we go. I'm going to continue. Oh, man. Man, I wish news was in like.
Second Charleston.
I have to continue. So it is what it is. I can't. Maybe is the 4 a little more important to keep? Get the 4. All right, let's see. We're going to do this, and I'm going to keep the green. This is a pretty pass, but I'm going to keep the green. So far, nobody really collected. Well, we don't know. We don't know much. Oh, I got another north. My. Okay, so if we're looking at the north and south hand, I've got the hardest parts of that. I could call the north. I need one more good pick of the other suit and the 3 in the other suit. I need one more good pick for the south. But I mean, this is like, again, remember I said you don't often get one hand that you're pointing to, but it looks like this is the hand. And I should be happy, should be very happy. So I'm going to maximize what I can get. I just got a north at the end. I could still get one more new tile. So let's hope I get a 3.
Courtesy pass.
But I didn't. Darn. Okay, I think I will do 3 again, hoping I get a 3. Hoping I get a 3.
East.
But I didn't. But that's okay. I didn't. I got somebody coming in really late at the end. Maybe they're in California thinking it's starting now. Ignore.
West. Soap.
Okay, so remember I said I prioritize getting rid of anything that I was left after the Charleston, so I'm going to start dumping these babies first.
7 crack. 9 crack. 8 crack.
I just need a couple. Okay, I'm not going to be playing with the flowers right now. Oh boy. Unless I go over to any like numbers, and it would have to be because I got rid of the dragon anyway.
4 crack.
Uh,
7 crack.
we'll see.
Soap. 5 bam.
I'm going to get rid of that. I know I passed that, so I'll get rid of the, oh, the 7 is out already twice, so now I can do the 6 for sure. Because I did pass that, so that would be important to get that out.
6 crack. 5 dot. 5 crack. North.
All right. I'm going to call it. I'm going to put my hands in this, my faith in this hand, since I could call it without a joker. They'll be knowing that I'm playing Winds and Dragons, but they're not going to know whether I'm playing. Excuse me. Oh my God, I'll have to cut that out when I edit this video. I think 2 places I had that happen. They won't know if I'm playing line 1 or line 4, but those are the only 2 hands. All right, so we're going to call, oh, it could be a quint, right? I always forget that too. It could be a quint. You're absolutely right. It could be a quint. Okay, so I'm going to call this. I always forget that hand. Thank you, Agnes. All right, calling the north, and that's going to be for a Kong.
Call.
I will get the flowers out pretty soon and get the 2
2
out.
dot. 9 bam. 3 bam.
Wow, there's 1 3 bam.
5 crack. 1 bam. Call. 5 crack.
1 joker available. Okay. Now, I won't call, I won't give up my single unless I'm able to call and get another tile in, but I will certainly keep that. Maybe somebody will put up a joker and I'll get a joker exchange without somebody getting it before me. Let's see what happens here.
Flower. 1 crack. Green.
Actually, what I meant to say is I can call either one of these, but I need to make sure I protect. Now, I actually need to protect my single ampere, so never mind, I said that. I'm going to get you guys confused.
9 bam.
I have a way of doing that sometimes.
Flower. 9 dot. 5 dot. 7 dot. 7 crack.
All right.
8 dot.
So now I am sitting pretty nice. I would like 1 more good pick to be able to make sure that I could secure my single and my pair.
1 crack. 9 bam.
Interesting.
Red. 8 bam. West. West.
Wow. Okay. All right. So now I am, let's see, let's put this in order. So I've got north and south. I've got my pair and my pung, and a 3 bam will be my mahjong. Okay, here we go.
7 crack. East. 4 dot. East. West. 8 crack. 6 bam. 8 crack. 2 dot. 6 bam. 2 crack. 6 bam.
Here we go. And I was also going to say that if a South was thrown, that I could have called the South and hope that somebody made me jokerless. And then I could have just discarded the joker and waited for the 3 bam. You can do that if you want to try to go for jokerless for sure. So finally,
Mahjong.
now that's the way to end it. All right, so I hope you guys see the way I kind of worked the different categories until we got down to figuring it out, one or two. Let me see, I'll unmute, I'll unshare for a minute here, not a minute, but however long, in case you have any other questions. But I hope you could see the way that works. Look, it takes practice. This doesn't happen overnight. You all remember the experienced players that are here. You remember where you came from, and slowly but surely this does come together. Knowing and learning the card, not by heart, but being able to recognize certain hands, to be able to see something and see a pattern that may look like something is so important. Okay. All right. Well, I hope everybody had a fun time tonight. I sure did. And I hope you took away a few things, from the presentation. I'm always so happy to do these events and share my knowledge of the game with you all. If you're not a current subscriber of my YouTube channel, I do appreciate it. To join, give it a thumbs up, click the bell so you get notifications, and support me. It always means so much to me. Until I see you all again, practice, 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 everybody, and good night and be well.